Hi everyone, welcome to Bikini Design Club. In this short tutorial, we will let you know how you can transform your mini swimsuit pattern called Bora into a two-piece. You will also have the adult version for the swimsuits, so if you want, you just need to take a look at bikinidesignclub.com and you will find it there. This is an exclusive members pattern, so if you want to add it to your cart, you have to become a member. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you like this tutorial. See you soon! So we have here our swimsuit pattern Mini Bora for kids, and today I'm transforming this one into a two-piece. So I will have a top and a bottom made with this swimsuit pattern. So the first thing I did, I printed my pattern. I have here my front, my back and my sleeve. This is my front. I decided that on the sides I wanted to have 5 centimeters on the sides of my bottom. This is a size 8 and I thought it was appropriate for the kid size 8 to have 5 centimeters, so I draw 5 centimeters and 90 degrees angle here because this is the fold line. I traced an horizontal line, and of course I had to add a seam allowance, which I add a little bit bigger than I should, so I'm gonna do it now. And now I have here my seam allowance and I have my front bottom size 8 done. Then for the back, I again measured the same amount of centimeters, so 5 centimeters, and then I added the seam allowance. Again, I made the seam allowance a little bit too big, so I will have to redraw the seam allowances to 2 millimeters smaller, because I use 0.8 as my seam allowance, so I think this will be okay. And then I will cut here and I will have my size 8 bottom back piece. As for the top part, I have here my back and I have here my front. And so for my back, I will decide how many centimeters, because I don't want this to be a rash guard or anything, so I'm gonna put this a little bit higher here. So I'm gonna go with 6 centimeters, and I'm gonna say that this already includes the seam allowance that I need. Yes, so this is 6 centimeters from the waistline. So I also have here the waistline marked, because you have an inflection here, so you can mark horizontally perpendicular to your grain line. You can mark the waistline, and then again the same amount of centimeters, 6 centimeters. I'm gonna mark them here, and I will have my top back. The only thing I want to add now is that I'm not gonna add a sleeve with the puff sleeve, because the Mini Bora has a gathered and also puff sleeve, so it's puff on the top of the sleeve and then gather on the lower part. But today I'm not gonna add a puff sleeve here, so I'm gonna add a flounce, which I will actually cut. Maybe not a flounce, I'm gonna add a ruffle. And if you have seen my previous videos, you will know that the flounce is cutted circular, and the ruffle is cutted a straight line, a straight rectangle, and then you create the rush by doing it on the fabric. So it will be this time today a ruffle and not a flounce, because the fabric will not be cutted in a circular way. So I'm gonna add here a ruffle. To know the amount of ruffle, well, this is according to your taste, but I can already see more or less, if I see my notch here, I can already imagine that I want more or less, this is 7.5 centimeters. So imagine I want to place it until my 6, so I'll have a new notch here, and I need 6 here. And on the front, imagine that I do 7. So 6 plus 7 is 13, but since I want to create the ruffle effect, instead of 13 centimeters, I will have, let me think, 25. So I will cut a rectangle of 25, and then the height of the rectangle will be the height of your ruffle. So it's completely according to your taste. Don't forget that you always lose a little bit on the seam allowance. So I will cut 6 centimeters by 25 centimeters 2 times. Okay, and so we are ready. I can cut my pattern pieces on the front and on the back. I'm gonna put this aside, the sleeve aside, and I'm gonna cut 2 times rectangles for my sleeves, and then I will show you how to assemble this pattern. Another thing is that this is for kids, so I'm not gonna line the entire swimsuit bikini. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line a small part here on the lower crotch area, and that's it. Okay, so let's cut the pattern pieces on the paper, and then let's cut the fabric and the lining for the crotch area. So for the back, as you saw, I did a curve on the back here. This is not straight. And on the front, I also want to do this slightly curved. Well, I want to do this the easy way so that it will be also easy for you. So you have to make sure that this line is still making sense, and also this one is making sense, you know, so that it will flow from the back, from the front to the back. And I think it does. So I'm just going to slightly curve this and lose a little bit here. So let me just improvise here with my ruler. So on the center front, I always want a little bit that is completely straight, and then I will place this here just to make sure that this makes sense. You see the line here? You have to make sure that the line still makes it's fluid and continuous, and it makes sense, so it will not be broken and ugly. So I think this is it. So now if I place this here, this will be straight here. I think it's okay. So now I have my bottom. I'm gonna just cut it here. So I have my front and my back for my bottom. As for my top, don't forget that this is to be worn with the sleeve, so this will be on the edge of the shoulder. So of course, if you want this to be more stable, we should tilt and we should move the area where we have the strap more towards the middle of the shoulder. But that would be changing the pattern a lot, and for that you also have the 𝗍𝗂 pattern, so I'm not going to change it too much. So you can still use this pattern and these instructions to follow and to have an alternative to the Bora swimsuit, but as a top. But I still want to make a slight adjustment. So the adjustment I'm gonna do is, first of all, on the back, this is the center back, and this is a center back seam on the swimsuit, but on the top, I want to make this the back adjustable with a string. So what I'm gonna do is, because I think kids, many times kids are so different, bodies are so different, that I think if we can make it adjustable, it's easier, and for the parents, you don't have to spend a lot of money buying because it doesn't fit anymore. And probably with this adjustment, you can fit a little bit more longer than if we don't do the adjustments. So I removed, in this case, from the edge with the seam, from the edge, I removed 1.8 centimeters. If I measure from the pattern, I made 8 millimeters inwards, and I made 90 degrees angle here. And now I'm also going to make this a little bit smaller. So I have here almost 4.5. I'm gonna make it 4 centimeters, and I'm gonna redraw the curve here until I reach the same point here, okay? So now I need to make sure that my seam allowance is following me, what I'm doing, right? And now I cut. But this also means that I need to adjust my front pattern. So this is the adjustment for the back. And now when we have the front, and the front will be matching here, and we removed from the outside, so we will also remove on the outside here. So again, we want 4 centimeters. So now if we make the seam allowance, it will be something like this. And now I just need to cut again. And we will have the same size for the strap on the front and on the back. So this is already aligned. This is where we will apply the ruffle, okay? We still need to make sure that the sides is exactly with the same size. So if we measure this line here, it should have the exact same measurement that we have here. So I'm gonna grab another ruler, not this one, a flexible one, because this is curved and I want to make sure that I measure this properly. So I can tell you that this is 8.7, but I think this is too long. So I have 2, 4, 6 here. I already forgot this, I'm tired. So 8.7, 6, 8.7 here. So as you can see, I did something wrong, so now I'm gonna just fix this. Again, this is perpendicular, so 90 degrees with the fold center front line, like so. And now I can cut. Don't forget that this is the fold, and this will be written on the swimsuit. It wasn't here, but it will be. So now I just need to adjust the front, cut the neckline. If you want to change a little bit the neckline, this is the moment, and our front will be ready. As for the back, as I was telling you, on the center, I want to make a channel here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this curve here because I think we need a little bit, as you can imagine, when it connects here, it should be almost horizontal here. So if you do an horizontal line here, and if you follow this line and then you adjust the curve here so that this will meet or you can do by hand if you want. Something like this. And now I want to extend this because I want to create a channel, so I'm going to extend by 1.5 centimeters. I think it will be enough for me to create the channel. And now I'm going to cut seam allowance from the line that I've just drawn. Of course, I don't have enough fabric here for the seam allowance on this one, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of paper. I'm gonna tape it here. And this is the line that I want to follow. I mean, if I was to keep this height, I should have done like so. Let me think if I want to make this higher. No. So following this line here, like so, and then curve here. Okay, and this is my line. Okay, from here and here. And so now I need the seam allowance to follow the line that we have just drawn. I need to measure. This is not coming out perfect, so I need to measure this. Sometimes I can do this just freehand, but it depends on the days. So now I'm gonna grab and cut where I've just drawn my seam allowance. Just going to tape this on the back also. Okay. And I'm sorry, this is a little bit messy, but I think if you need, you can stop the video and you can still follow it. So I now have my back, and now we just need to cut the front and we are ready to cut the fabrics. So let's see what we have here. So I have here my front and my back. My back has a center back seam, so I can already go ahead and pin the center back seam. And this part is ready to be sewn together. Then I already have here my front, which I've used the fold line to cut the front. And of course I have my two back pieces that are going to be like this and like this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do today beside of this is I've cut a strap with 3 centimeters high, and this is more or less 50 centimeters long. And this is the strap that I'm going to use to close the back, to adjust the back. So this is the strap that I'm going to use for the channel. And then I've also cut a 2 centimeter high, very long strap. And this is because I want to play a little bit, because I really want this fabric to be used as a detail on this one. So I'll be using this on the back strap. I will be using these two, the two rectangles I've told you to cut, as my ruffles. Okay, and on the bottom, to match, I'm gonna create on the waistline, I'm gonna create a little bit of pop-up color with this strap, and I will show you why I will show you how in a little bit, okay? I'm just missing the lining for my crotch, which I will cut using this one. I will improvise completely the size of the fabric that I'm going to cut. But for instance, if I cut 5 centimeters here from the edge to the top, and I make a straight line, more or less here, I can cut this for my lining, and probably here on the back I can do like this little bit. So I'm making a line parallel to this one, and from here to here I have 3 centimeters. And I'm gonna use this and this to cut my lining. So I already pinned the center back of my small bit for the crotch on the back. I have here the front. And so preparing to go to my sewing machine, something we can start doing is, of course, we can create the channel here with elastic, and this is very simple. Fold in half with the right side facing up and facing each other, like so. Apply the elastic on your overlock and then reverse using our loop turner, and we will have the strap for the back. For the two ruffles, I will make a basting stitch just to help me rush the effect for the ruffle that I want. So I'm going to do a very near the edge, a basting stitch. A basting stitch is like a stitch to secure things in place, or so that you can use and remove it later, the thread. So it's like a long stitch. I'm gonna do a very long stitch here, and then I'm gonna pull the threads and I'm gonna create the effect equal on both of them. Don't forget to check which is the right side of your fabric, because of course you want one for each side. So you need to make sure that you create the stitch where you want on both of them. And we can already go ahead and pin the shoulder area for both of them, like so, with right sides facing together. Pin the shoulder area because we will start by sewing the shoulders and also the sides. So pin the shoulders, pin the sides together and sew them. And we already can also, I'm just going to do one of them, like so. Okay, I'm gonna do the same on this side, and this will be ready to sew. Then on here I have my center back ready, and once I have this ready, I can match the side seams and the crotch area, and I can sew these 3 areas together. Okay, so this is something that we can already do. When we sew the crotch area here, we can insert these 2 pieces. So I will come back on the table to show you how to assemble them and to still keep the seam hidden. So I will show you how to do this, but you can already sew here and the sides and the top and prepare the ruffles and create the channel. Okay, that's it. We now have here our bottom with the sides already sewn. So with right sides facing together, we'll place the front of the lining on top of the front here, like you are watching, and the back also here, right sides facing together. So with my seam from the center back facing me, and I'm going to pin the 4 layers of fabric together. Okay, so it's easier for me to just grab 2 of them and first pin a little bit with only 2 layers, and now I can insert the 3rd one. And now I can insert the final layer, and so we will be sewing over the 4 layers of fabric here. If you want to line the bikini, you can of course line the entire bikini, top and bottom. I have many videos where, of course, on adults I always line the pieces, But in this case, I really don't think it's a good idea, because I really want the girl to be dry once she goes to swim. When she comes out of the water, I don't want to have a lot of fabric, so I just want one layer. So I'm gonna just do it without lining, but you can line, and to line you just need to follow one of the tutorials that we have for adults, and you will see how we line our pieces. So we can now sew this area here, and our bikini bottom will be ready to be for us to apply elastic, but I will come and show you how we can do it. This is the strap, which I have already reversed to the right side, and these are the two ruffles. As I told you, I did a basting stitch, a very long stitch, and now I'm going to pull one of the threads, and I'm going to create the rush effect according to my taste. So this is completely to your preference. We marked some notches on the pattern, but I'm not going to be very picky here. I'm just going to improvise this small ruffle. I'm not going to go and mark the notches and follow the exact measurement of the notch. I'm just going to make sure that both of them are with the same size, the two ruffles, and then I'm going to make sure that I apply them exactly symmetrical, but the rest I'm not going to be following any particular special rule for this. So now that I think I have what I want, I'm going to tie a knot here on the end here, and I'm going to repeat the process for my other fabric, for my other ruffle, something like this, and I'm going to do the same here. And once I have this done, I have my top here, and I want to place this here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, find the middle, apply the middle on the middle of the seam that connects the front with the back. So on my shoulder, I'm going to put the middle with the middle, and this will be the placement for my ruffle, but I will show you. Let me just prepare this one, and then I'll be back to explain you in detail. So both of them have the same size now, and so I'm going to fold them in half. I could have marked the middle before, but it's fine. So I'm going to fold them in half, and with a pin I'm going to mark the center. And now with right sides facing together, I'm going to place the middle of my ruffle with the middle of my top, right sides facing together like so, and I'm gonna pin them together. Okay, now I'm gonna make sure that I pin the entire ruffle to the edge of the fabric, and then we will apply elastic. So just make sure you pin, distributing the ruffle along here according to your taste, or intensifying in some areas. I don't know, it's according to what you want. Go to our sewing machine, and we will apply elastic on the armhole and also on the neckline until we reach the back, and also on the lower part of our swimsuit, or in this case our top. We will apply the elastic on the wrong side of the fabric so that we can then fold and do a top stitch. Here we will apply the elastic on the main side of the fabric, because we will then, we will apply the elastic also on the lining side, on the inside of the fabric, and then we will then fold and do a top stitch on this side. and the same on the lower part here. So our top will be a little bit more complete once we do that. Here we will sew over the 4 layers of fabric, and once that is done, very easy, sew the leg lines just like we are going to do here, applying elastic on the wrong side, because we will then fold and do a top stitch. When you do that, of course, you open this bit of fabric, you open, and you will sew, making sure that your lining stays flat a little bit here on the front and a little bit here on the back. And that will be our leg holes. And then I will explain you exactly the detail that I want to do on the waistline. I will show you exactly how I suggest that you do this small detail on the waist. Well, let's finish our bikini bottom and top. It's almost ready. So as you can see, I have applied the elastic on the leg holes, and I left only the waistline. We will then, once this is on the right side, of course we will finish this just by folding this like so and doing a top stitch all around the leg holes, and the leg holes will be ready. But for the top, I told you that I wanted to add a small detail with this contrasting fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place right sides facing together. First of all, I'm going to find the exact measurements and cut my orange fabric. So I'm just going to pin, just to make sure that I cut the orange strap exactly with the size that I need. So it's exactly the waistline. I could have measured this before, and I could have cut this before, but sometimes I like to do this just like I'm doing now. It's fine. And we are going to make this a finish just like I did the sleeves on the long sleeve swimsuit pattern live, where I added a small purple detail on the edge of the sleeve, and I really liked the result. So that's the effect that I want to have here. So now that I've reached the side seam, I'm going to match the fabrics, right sides facing together. And I'm going to mark where I want to sew them together. So I have marked, and now I can remove the other pin, cut the excess, and just okay. So we just need to go to our sewing machine and sew the strap, creating a seam so that it's closed, and then we will place like it is here, so right sides facing together. And I'm going to use a wide 8mm wide elastic. I'm going to sew the elastic on this side of the fabric, so on top of these two. And since my width of my serger is 0.6, I will have sticking out the elastic sticking out 2mm, and that's the amount of elastic that is going to be sticking out, so it will make the orange be visible once we finish the waistline. So let's see if you followed. First close this, then pin right sides facing together and apply the elastic on top here, with making sure that the width of your stitch is a little bit smaller than your elastic, and that's what's going to make the orange pop a little bit and being visible once we finish the waist. So I'm going to do that now. I'm gonna also do the zigzag on the leg holes. If you have a cover stitch machine, which I do, but I don't want to do a cover stitch today, I want to use my straight stitch with a zigzag stitch to do my cover stitch. So I'm gonna also fold on the armholes, and moving this to the side, I'm gonna apply a zigzag all around the leg, the armholes, and also on the back. I'm gonna fold like so, and I'm gonna do a zigzag all around, and the same, and this will come for the front, so you will have this finished. And on the lower part here, I also did with the elastic, so you also need to fold and apply the zigzag. Then we just need to create the channel here, which will be very simple. We will fold this and we will sew a straight line here from the top to the bottom, and we will be able to create a channel for our strap. And this I will show you. I will go and shoot this on camera, so to make sure that you follow this part here of the waistline. So let's go to our sewing machine. So as we have talked before, you can line the entire pieces if you want, and you have so many tutorials, because on adults I always line everything. If they are not reversible, they are lined, but this time, as I told you, I just reinforced and I placed a lining, a small lining here on the crotch area, which I could have made a little bit bigger, but it's okay this time. Next time I will do it a little bit bigger. This is an 8-year-old girl, so I think she will like. She chose the fabric, so I made this according to her taste. The only surprise I'm doing is this small bit here of the pop color. As I told you, it may not look very good on the table, but let me assure you that this center back seam will perfectly fit her, and you will see, because I will ask her for a picture and you will see how amazing it is on a real body. So this is the bottom already finished with the zigzag stitch on the leg holes, and also here, as you saw, this was very easy to do, and on the inside you also have the elastic hidden, so this is quite nice. And for the top, you can also see the zigzag on the leg, on the armhole, and also on the neckline, and also on the back. And I already created the channel, so it was just folding the fabric inwards and doing a straight stitch from the edge there to the edge here, and we have a channel created. Now with the loop turner, we just need to go and place our strap on both sides, and we will have an adjustment for the back, which, as I told you, I think it's much nicer for the kids to have. And I think this will be it. I will share some pictures. If you have questions, just let me know. This is, of course, a pattern that if you want, you have to transform the Bora pattern into this one. So if you like this one, you must start with the Mini Bora pattern for adults. And as I told you, you also have the tutorial for the adults, and also for the Bora pattern swimsuit for kids. So you have many videos that you can check if you want to do this differently. I really think it's turned out very cute. and I hope my friend's daughter likes it. I'm gonna put the strap and I'm gonna share some pictures with you. Bye guys, see you soon.